Hello, my lovelies. We're somewhere else. And I'm sorry because I'm actually holding my phone that I'm filming on. So it's going to be a bit wobbly. It's not the most professional video, but I wanted to review a pile of books for you. I'm going to go through it fairly quickly because three of them are ones that you will know I'm reading through the series and I'm obsessed with it, so there'll be no surprise. But the first one is this. Now, I do love a good biography and I love a good autobiography, and I love books about authors. I just like knowing about some folk. And this one is by Fiona Sampson. Now, I've seen a few interviews with Fiona Sampson, and she always comes across as very studious, and I quite like that. She interviews well. And I was very interested in this. This is In Search of Mary Shelley. And I was really looking forward to reading it because I knew a few bits about Mary Shelley and about Mary Shelley's mother, who was incredibly before her time. I mean, Mary Wollstonecraft was, women's lib before women's lib existed. She was incredible, and she brought her daughters up to be very independent and very confident in themselves as women. Incredible woman. And I was really looking forward to just finding out more about Mary Shelley than I already knew. And actually, I didn't, because I felt there was very little about Mary Shelley. And inevitably, it's all about the people around her and the people she mixed with and the writing circles that she mixed with. And no. That's what I want to say. No, I didn't enjoy it. I finished it because it's the kind of book where you think at some point I'm going to get, yeah, it was worth it, and it wasn't. It just felt very unfamiliar. I didn't learn any more than I didn't already know about Mary Shelley. I didn't feel it even gave you an idea of who Shelley was at all. There was a lot about her husband, obviously, Percy Shelley, and a lot round, the people, as I say, that were in and out of their lives. But it's almost as though there isn't enough out there about Mary Shelley, and you can't fill the book. So for me, don't write it. If you can't tell people anything else, just don't do it. So it was a huge disappointment of a book for me. And usually I keep books like this, but I'm not. I'm going to give this to the charity shop because it's not worth a place on my bookshelf. Oh, get me. Now then, there's 4 of these, so I'm going to show you them. And basically, I'm loving the series. I think I'll finish it this year, sadly. Ellie Griffiths, it's the Ruth Galloway series. I love them. Some of them I love more than others. There's one, the last one I'm going to show you is set in Italy, which is lovely because I love Italy. But I do like books to be set where they're set. Do you know what I mean? Ruth Galloway belongs in sort of Norfolk. Simple. And I don't like it when people take people out of their settings. But I love Ellie Griffiths' writing. It's just straightforward. It's just well written, well plotted. Try not to put my finger over the camera. Apologies. And yeah, I just love reading them. And I love her Will They, Won't They with Nelson, who she's had a fling with and has a daughter from. And his wife knows about it, and there's a bit of a romance for his wife, maybe with somebody else, and they're surrounded by some wonderful characters. And I just love, as I say, Ellie's writing. So I continued the journey with Ruth and Nelson, and I've got The Ghost Fields. I have The Woman in Blue. Then I went on to The Chalk Pit. And then the final one, which was set in Italy, which is The Dark Angel. And I'm reading another one. I think I've got about 3 more to go before the series finishes. But I do believe Ellie Griffiths has said she may be doing more, but not at the moment. I love them. I love the archaeological detail in it. It doesn't feature as much as it did in the early books, but I do learn things from the books as well, which I love. Yeah, I just love the characters, and I'm always thinking who could play who on television. That's the thing. It would be a really, really good TV series. I believe the BBC may have optioned the books, but obviously whether it comes to TV or not, I don't know. This one is a writer and author who I have followed for many years and found her very funny and very sort of witty and wry. Nina Stibb, although one of my friends calls her Nina Stibe, I call her Nina Stibb. But then I did hear somebody on YouTube call her Nina Stibby. Anyway, Nina Stibb, which is went to London, took the dog. And this is about Nina and basically renting a room and living in London, going back to London after many years down south, going with her dog. And she's got children, she's been married, her relationship's fallen apart. And it's just about life. It's about her life. And some of it is really funny. And some of it, I think the older you get, the more it resonates with you. She's funny, a very funny writer. Not as funny as I thought it was going to be, but I still enjoyed it. And I just like her writing. And I do like a diary. But I also wish that she'd done just more, you know, a bit like Alan Bennett. I'd rather have the chapters than I would the just diary excerpts. I'd like just more of it, more of the story than just Monday the 13th and a quick snippet. I'd like her to expand on what she's talking about, but a funny lady and a nice read. Now, this author was recommended to me, and I have one of her books to read. So she started out as sort of a short story prose writer, and it's Sheila Armstrong, and her book is How to Gut a Fish. And these are short stories, and some of them are they're connected. So a lot of the stories you suddenly start to realise are connected by people. Some of them you get into and think, wow, I really didn't realise it was going to take that turn. And it just sees life in a different way. It makes you think about things in a different way. It's kind of looking at a picture, but almost not looking at it hung straight. Do you know what I mean? So you're looking at a picture, but it's almost like Sheila is taking a picture and going, let's see what you think if I do that or that. And some of the stories are really engaging, and some of them I was uncomfortable, but I felt that was the point of the stories, is to actually make you think this is bad? Read this. This is what could happen. I'm not a short story fan. I've said this before, but I did like her turn of phrase, and I did sometimes like almost the dark way she looks at things. It appeals to the pessimist in me. So How to Gut a Fish by Sheila Armstrong, I fairly enjoyed it. And then this one, which I saw on a book programme, and it's sounded like a me. It's translated, it's Convenience Store Woman by Sayaki Murata. And this is basically about a woman whose whole life is working in a convenience store, and she likes order and she likes her life, and occasionally people come into it and try and change her, and she wonders if she should change. But she kind of realises, as we all do, that who we are actually isn't always that bad. And you just kind of have to grow comfortable with yourself and have confidence in yourself, which is sadly quite often an age thing. You get to an age where you realise actually you're all right. But yes, Kiko is just, you know, she's just one of life's gentle souls. You know, she's surrounded by friends who've got married and had children and live in their house and do all the things that people expect. And it's about, again, the picture being that way and not this way. But still, that's okay. It's okay not to be like everybody else. Very short. I liked it. It was translated well. It read well. I suppose I wanted it to be quirkier. But I love the fact that she's so engaged with the world that she's created. It's almost like a little egg rounder. It's a safety net. She knows her world. She knows the order of it. She knows how her environment works. And changing it isn't what she needs. And you kind of know that. But yeah, you feel protective of her as well. But yeah, it was a pleasant read. So those are my books. And obviously I'm into January. Yes, that's Betty snoring, if you can hear snoring, because I'm obviously such great company. But those are my books. So, Convenience Store Woman. Yeah, that was okay. Sheila Armstrong, enjoyed her writing. I'm looking forward to reading the other book I have of hers. Nina Stibe, whatever. I do like her. I do like her writing, and there are parts of it where you do laugh out loud. Obviously, you know I adore Ellie Griffiths and the Ruth Galloway series. Goes without saying. I have had to. I had to rearrange my bookcase because I suddenly realised I needed room for all my Ruth Galloway books, because obviously I keep them because I love them. And then sadly, the disappointment was the Mary Shelley. Just don't bother. If you want to know about Mary Shelley, this is not the book. There was a documentary about Mary Shelley quite some time ago. I think BBC One. No idea whether it's still out there, which was brilliant, astounding. But if you can, Mary Shelley is fascinating, and her upbringing is fascinating, and her mother was astoundingly fascinating. And we get lost in the fact that she was, married to Percy Shelley. Yes, she was, but she was so much more than who she was married to, and that's the whole point. A disappointment, it has to be said. Just saying. But Mary Shelley did set a book in Torquay, which was a lost manuscript for quite some time. Anyway, and these little snippets of things that I know. So those are the books. Thank you to those of you who I know love the book reviews. I know they're not for everybody, but they're staying on this channel as well as the beauty, just what it is. I'm sorry if it irritates you, but thank you to those of you I know that look forward to the book reviews. And it's lovely to know that I sometimes engage you enough in a book that you actually go get it yourself. It's personal. There's a lot of books that I just know I wouldn't read. They're not for me, but I am very blinkered in my reading. But it's lovely when people do have the interest to go forward. So yeah, that's my reading. And yes, I am on another Ruth Galloway one at the moment. I think I'm going to sort of start spreading it out now, because I feel that awful thing, when you don't want to finish a good book. I'm frightened that I'm going to be at the last Ruth Galloway book, and I don't know what I'm going to do, because I kind of always have a Ruth Galloway in my TBR pile. It's like a little safety net knowing she's there, and when she's not, I could reread them, I suppose. Could do that. Anyway, and my TBR pile is huge. So I really need to crack into it, but inevitably I think, I'll read a Ruth Galloway. So I'm reading 2 at the moment. So I am doing Ruth Galloway, and then I am reading a book that I got for my birthday, which is just beautiful. It is just the most beautiful, lovely book. All will be revealed when I finished it. Betty is properly snoring now. It's almost like she knows. She knows I'm filming. I know, let's snore. Yes, and that's it. So sorry if the camera wobbled a lot, but I am holding it rather than it being on a stand. And I was just here with my pile of books and thought, I know, I'll film. And let's just finish with, I'm very interested to know, and I will talk about it in another video. Has anybody watched Saltburn, the film that people have been talking about, that has the brilliant Sophie Ellis-Bextor's Murder on the Dance Floor in the soundtrack? Have you watched it? Let me know. I'd really love to know if you have. I have watched it. I watched it. I was going to watch it anyway before all the fuss started. I love Emerald Fennell. So she is actually Emerald Fennell, but people call her Fennell. But it is Fennell. Her dad's a jewellery designer, isn't he? But Emerald Fennell, I love her. I think she's just exquisite. I love hearing her and looking at her. She's beautiful. But please let me know if you've watched Saltburn, and I'd love to know what you thought of it. And I shall tell you what I thought of it next time. Your views won't obviously change mine. You know me. but I'm very interested to know. I did mention it to Craig, who was not interested in watching it at all, but he did say, well, what's it about then? And I gave him a brief synopsis, and he actually came out with the words, who hasn't? I will tell you, it didn't involve bathtubs. That's all I'm going to say. But there's not a lot that would shock Craig, to be fair. But I briefly told him and he was like, right, okay. But anyway, let me know if you watched it and what you thought. I've had a mixed response from friends, it has to be said. But let me know. I'd really love to know, those of you that have, what you thought of it. Right, I'm going now. Nice to be back in touch with you all. Hope you're all well. I will try and get a makeup video up and running. Done a couple of lives on Instagram, just purely by chance. And that's all, folks, for now. I'm going to go make myself a hot chocolate. Get me. And I'll catch up with you later. Take care. Bye for now.